What's up, guys, and welcome to another video of DevTalks with your host Travian, where we talk about everything engineering technology wise. In this video, we're actually going to be diving into a study that some folks did at MIT and chatgpt. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and let's dive right in.
I recently wrote a story entitled ChatGPT may be eroding critical thinking skills, according to a new MIT study. Natalia, you are the main author of this study. Thank you so much for joining me to talk about your research. So let me ask sort of the biggest question that is on a lot of people's minds was, does your study provide evidence that ChatGPT is making us dumber?
No. I'm so happy you asked, and you can see my excitement, I guess. We have like a huge FAQ on website right now. The words like dumb, brain rot. So all of those words are pure clickbait because we in our study never use this vocabulary, and we do not show this. And we actually cannot show this with even this setup. It's just impossible. What we have shown is specifically what happens, neural connectivity, essay outputs, scoring, interviews. We put it all into perspective, and there are definitely a lot of interesting things happening.
Can you briefly describe the study?
We invited 54 participants who were all students from Greater Boston University, and we invited them to come in person to the lab. And we asked them to do one very specific task, which is essay writing. And we divided them in 3 groups. So first group was tasked to only use ChatGPT. So they couldn't use anything else, just ChatGPT to write their essay. Second, search engine without AI functionality. So basically you can do like a classic OG search engine. And then the third one, we call it tools free tools, which is no tools. And we also call it in the paper brain only because of that. So you only could have used your brain to write your essay.
The research began with 3 essay writing sessions where students were able to pick writing prompts they were interested in.
So what we have observed during the first 3 sessions is that the essays were pretty homogeneous for their LLM group. So basically what it means in layman terms is they were very similar. Wording that was used, for example, a lot of specific words that were used, like names and persons, different entities, could have definitely observed this.
The researchers studied neural activity.
That's interesting. Now, I want to stop here because I saw this in a lot of different articles and like photos and stuff that people were just sharing everywhere, but it doesn't provide context because I wanted to do the video here because this is one of the people who actually worked on the study so that they can give the exact details of what's going on. And that's really important when we're covering stuff like this because we want to know exactly what they're talking about. They're not calling people dumb or saying that it gets some brain rot. They're comparing different ways on people having writing styles and things like that. So the first thing we come here is, hey, they let these people write about anything that they wanted to write about. So even the people in the LLM group did not write about the same topic. But the language and everything in those categories was way similar because it's only thinking a certain specific type of way, probably. And mind you, it's going to keep using the same words because I bet these people weren't prompting their own chat LLM to write in a different manner. So they all got something that was more likely similar, using the same words, going back to the same references and things like that, because they only can go as far as they're trained to do. But I'm really interested on how this changed as we get to the other groups.
Using a non-invasive brain imaging technique called EEG.
And then, of course, when we looked at neural connectivity, we also saw that there is actually a change when you use tools like search engine or LLM versus when you don't use any tools at all, which is in itself actually should not be very surprising, right? And a lot of studies before us actually explored this phenomena even earlier, not with LLMs, but with the tools we already had, like GPS or Google, etc. So what we saw is that there is definitely some scaling down happening when you are moving from no tools, meaning like you're only using your brain, up to all the way to the LLM. So, you have pretty high neural connectivity happening brain only, intermediate for search, and then definitely lower for the LLM.
The researchers found that of the three groups, the ChatGPT users had the lowest brain engagement and consistently underperformed at neural, linguistic, and behavioral levels. Over the course of several months, the ChatGPT users got lazier with each subsequent essay, often resorting to copy and paste. After the third session, researchers re-invited participants back for a fourth time. About a third of the original 54 participated, so it was a smaller sample size. But the students were reassigned to different groups. For instance, the students that wrote with their brain only were given ChatGPT, and the students that had used ChatGPT were now not allowed to use it.
And additionally, we actually let the subjects pick up from the essays that were not new to them, but actually the essays they had already written about. So something you have already written from those previous 3 sessions. So that was an experiment.
The results of this switch showed something surprising. The people who had been in the brain-only sessions for the first 3 essays performed even higher with ChatGPT.
So we actually, in the end, being, again, very careful with any speculations, do say the timing of introduction might be extremely interesting and potentially important to explore in any future studies.
Now that's something to talk about here, right? This all goes to we always talk about, especially when we talk about education and things along those lines. And a lot of these videos, we talk about how are these students going to learn properly and things like that. Is using AI damaging their their mental capacity and stuff like that. And the whole thing about the EEG scans, your brains. I need a lot of people to understand this real quick. Need a lot of people to understand this real quick. Your brains are a supercomputer on their own. On their own. So when somebody uses the AI or the LLMs directly, immediately, and they're just doing it to get answers and results, they're not thinking, of course. They're letting the devices think for them. In that aspect, this is what they're saying. They're saying it's not making them dumber, it's making them lazier in a sense because they're using the LLMs to think for them, so their brain's not getting in there. And maybe if somebody constantly did that throughout their whole life, it could be damaging to their brain, right? Because you're going to be losing certain connectivity inside of your brain because you're not using it as effectively as you should be. Because the more you use your brain, the better and stronger it gets. It's like any other muscle in the world. The more you work out and you bench press, the stronger you're going to get. The more your muscles work, the stronger they're going to get. The more you strain them, the stronger it's going to get. It's the same thing for your brain. This is why there was the reports about it's damaging people's brain or making them dumb in a sense, or why other people may be throwing in those terms, right? Because you're not using it as effectively as you could. But here's the kicker, right? They said when they brought the people back, the people who used their brain only to write their essays and got the AI to further develop their essays, the reason why they are so much more effective in performance is because they're actively using their brain to build off of what they already know, what they've already written about, things in that kind of way. There's a way to use AI and LLMs as a tool that is not damaging. There's ways for it to help you think further than maybe you already have been. If those people were only not processing it the way they should have in their brain because they were told to use it only and figure it out from that scale. But if you already have something in your head where you're already getting the material, you already know what you're writing about, you've used your brain throughout multiple different instances and you use it to learn properly, and then you bring this new tool and you educate on how to use this tool and better perform what you already have. That is the purpose that we say all the time on this channel on why and how it should be used. Why and how LLMs and AI should be used is to further advance yourself or any other capabilities that we already have beyond where we're currently using them. Not to make us perform lower, to exceed our performance, actually exceeding our performances and things. When we go back to education, It's not, hey, we're only going to let these students learn strictly on AI. No, you're going to be using your brain in your class, how you do this, and this is how we can use AI to further develop your teaching and learning. And they have the way and the modes to not give you the answers directly in the LLMs as well too. With these chatbots also, they do have that provided, and that's a great talk that I really wanted to cover and go through because I saw this and I wanted to get further context on it. And I'm so glad that they went out and they had the person who was actually conducting the research speak and talk clearly about what they were doing. Because when you look at these little articles and stuff that people are going to make, they're going to make, they're going to try to do anything to catch you. Just like this thumbnail for this video when it comes out. It might be something to catch you. Who knows? But when we actually get into the thick of it, hey, we're talking about real stuff here. And I'm actually curious to what you guys all think. Do you guys agree? Do you not agree? Do you think it's still making people dumb? Or like she said there, it depends on when you're implementing the AI to further bring it in. You do not want it's the same thing with children, right? You do not want them to instantly get a phone or an iPad and you make them an iPad kid. You don't want to do that. And there's reasons for it. Because you make people too reliant. You're going to make them more reliant on it. And as I said, the people became lazier at the end of the fact. I bet you those same people who, when they got switched to another group, if one person went on the brain only or the search engine one, they were so lazy they did not want to do it. That's why most of the people probably didn't come back because they didn't feel like it no more. Dead serious. Most people that probably came back were the brain only people. You can probably figure that out, but I'm going to leave the link to the rest of this video in the description down below. Let me know what you guys think. I'm really curious on what you may have to say about this. I think that was a great study, though. There's some real smart people over there. And that was an awesome study. So go check it out further, get more information if that's what you want to do. Link will be in the description down below, along with all my other links and my email if you want to send me any recommendations. Without further ado, peace. See y'all next time.